right. Check 1, 2, the Fat Maxter and Full of Fish Zed. That's right. Max City Limits Radio Show, MaxCity.com, PowerStrategy.com. Yeah, back in the game with nigga Fuchsia, man, Tony Maceo, Magneto. Bruh, this Dr. Boyce Watkins thing is just hilarious, man. We're going to follow this thing to its logical conclusion. We have an interest in this because our track record is immaculate. You know what I mean? When it comes to looking in our crystal ball and seeing which way trends go, you know what I mean? As far as, you know, like the Cosby incidents and, I don't know, what's another, oh yeah, like the Umar Johnsons, you know, just whenever you have people in the public eye, man, we just have a knack for just sniffing out bullshit, you know what I mean? So it's always interesting to look at what actually happens with these individuals and to see if we are correct in our assessment. So we are going to follow this so-called scandal all the way through. And I was listening to a video the other day, or last night. I don't know if you fellas are familiar with, what's her name? Afro Svengali. And she's basically making her bones and making her name by just going endlessly after Umar Johnson. Well, now she has a new mark. She has a new target, and that would seem to be Dr. Boyce Watkins, right? And of course, me and Tony, we just did a Dr. Boyce Watkins joint like a couple days ago, right? So I found it very interesting that she was doing one, and bruh, I have like the supercomputer over here. I got Tony, man. So I was like, yo, Tony, man, why don't you go ahead and check out what she is saying and let me know if anything that she's saying jives. Is anything that she's saying correct about Dr. Boyce Watkins in this lawsuit, right? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a low-key reaction video to Afro Svengali. What's the name of this video? Hold on. Boyce Bunko Bogarten Bully Watkins lawsuit without lawyer and preys on black women. That is the name of the video. Boyce Bunko Bogarten Bully Watkins lawsuit without lawyer and preys on black women. Okay, so that's what we gonna do. You ready, Fuchsias?
Let's go.
Man, why you sound mad? You angry?
I can't stand ignorance.
Okay, all right.
Low IQ at, never mind.
All right, be nice. Hold on. Let's see here.
One issue that cannot be ignored with what I'm going to be dealing with in this video.
Let me see if I can fast forward this shit, get to the meat. Okay, let's see here.
That I integrate into my radar in terms of talking about current issues. But Boyce Watkins does. That's the thing to keep in mind. I am coming on here to give an update on the lawsuit status of Boyce Watkins as a defendant. I should say lawsuits, plural, making it very clear Boyce Watkins lied when he said a lawsuit had been filed. There are 2 lawsuits that we know of, one in federal court, and right now you see the elements or the allegations, and then we have one at the civil level filed in Cook County. Now, what I'm coming on to let you know, there's been a development. What prompted me to do an update quicker than I had anticipated was Boyce making comments. Boyce made a comment, I should let you hear the comment, that he can sue Paris Milan or she better be careful or something to that effect. I'm going to let you hear the clips in a second. And then he goes on to justify or make excuses about this lawsuit. And the information that he gives is incredibly just, it's amazing, people. Finally, I need you to take a look at the screen before I play these clips. Notice how Boyce Watkins is no longer listed with an attorney.
Oh, God.
I'll address that.
Oh, God. Okay.
After the clips. So
All right.
stay tuned, and I...
All right. Bro, you need to tell me to stop.
Yeah, stop.
Okay.
Stop. I'm sorry, I'm going into a conniption. I do that when I hear nigga shit.
Okay.
All right, look. If you first of all, if you wanted to report on Boyce Watkins, the status of this suit, what you should have done was to go and file or to check whether or not he filed an answer.
Okay.
Because the answer would have the name, address, and phone number of his attorney. What we are seeing here, I don't even know what this is, Law 360. I don't even know where the hell that comes from.
All right.
But if you want to find the official record and timeline of a case, you go to something on the court docket. You go to something called the court docket or the Register of Actions. That's actually what it's called.
All right.
You go to something on the court docket called the Register of Actions. The Register of Actions is the timeline of everything that took place in that particular case. It tells you what was filed and when it was filed and who filed it. Okay? So if you wanted to give an update on the case, you would have found or checked to see if Boyce Watkins has filed an answer to answer the allegations that Ms. Lloyd put forth in her complaint. So right off the bat, this video is starting on some low IQ shit. Okay. Right off the bat, it's fucked up because if you were going to be objective, you would have stated whether or not you knew he filed an answer because the answers would tell you what his defenses are going to be to the claim.
Right.
So right off the bat, I know this is not objective. Right off the bat, I know it's some more hating ass female bullshit. It's some shit straight from Mr. Cosby. Same shit that happened to Mr. Cosby. So right away, I know this is slanted.
Okay.
Right away, I can tell you that this person does not know what the fuck she talking about. Because if you were going to, you said, well, he doesn't have an attorney. Well, you wouldn't know that unless you check to see if he filed an answer. Now, because there's no attorney here, that doesn't mean he doesn't have one. Right. It's not his complaint. It's hers.
Right.
And if it's her complaint, she doesn't know his attorney. She doesn't know who it is, so she can't put an attorney on a document, on a complaint or lawsuit, and she doesn't even know the identity of the attorney.
Right.
So what you do is you list the plaintiff in all of his various incarnations, which she has, Boyce Watkins et al. Et al. Means among others. Okay? So she has his brother, Black Wealth Boot Camp, has him as an individual defendant and all his other business entities. So she doesn't know who represents those entities. So she doesn't have to put it on the complaint. And it's not necessary to be put on the complaint. And it's not going to be put on the complaint because it's not his lawsuit. He has to defend against it.
Right.
So what the significance of that is at this point, without her producing his answer, the answer would tell you whether or not he has an attorney. Now, if he's answering it in pro per or in pro se, then you can conclude that he doesn't have a damn attorney. But to produce her complaint with no attorney to say he doesn't have one is kind of retarded.
Well, I don't know. Let's play devil's advocate here. Maybe she actually looked for an answer and maybe he doesn't have one yet. Maybe he hasn't.
Here's the problem with that.
Okay.
If he doesn't answer within 28 days,
okay,
lawsuit's over. It's been longer than 28 days since that's been filed.
Since the lawsuit's
been filed. Yeah, because she wins by default.
Oh, she wins by default.
Yeah, because he got to answer it within a specific time.
Right.
Whenever you get a complaint, I'm going to give up some game here today for free.
Okay.
Whenever somebody gives you a complaint, you got a certain amount of time to answer that complaint.
Okay.
If you don't answer that complaint within that amount of time, what you do is you file a motion with the court to move for a motion for default. And what that order is saying, or what that motion is saying, is you're saying, look, he didn't answer as he was required to. I should automatically win because he didn't answer and put up a defense. So enter a judgment on my behalf because he failed to answer.
When did she file this lawsuit? You know?
The lawsuit looks to have been filed. Wait a minute, I don't have it on me. I have it on my computer.
Okay.
I'll tell you in a minute. Because she's showing him having been served.
Okay.
So if he's been served, he has 28 days from that date to file an answer. You go ahead and keep going. I'll pull it up.
All right.
Will return.
Why is Paris suing you? Paris is not suing me. Paris has to be careful because she could end up in a lawsuit because a lot of the things that she said is not really true. So Paris probably be careful with her words. That's just, and we gave her a job, but she didn't go so well, so we had to let her go. So I think that she's upset about that. I mean, people get sued, and it doesn't mean anything until there's a judgment. It's like, it's not even like going on trial.
That he is right about. That he is right about. People do get sued all the time, and it doesn't mean anything until a judgment is entered. And that's what I was pretty much saying is that you can sue someone, but that doesn't mean that they have to actually prove the allegations.
Right.
There has to actually be a trial.
Right.
You see. So at this point, there is no trial. Damn thing. Okay, at this point, there has been no, I don't even know if she's filed already. I don't know if he's filed an answer. But just because, again, he says this and he's correct. Just because she sues doesn't mean that it's true.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And in his case, even if it's a lie, it's not going to help him. Because he chasing a broke hoe who don't have anything. That's the reason why they sue you.
You talking about Paris?
Paris, yes.
Right.
They sue you because in a lot of instances, people can use the system as a hustle. You remember when we sued the state of California?
Right.
You remember how the judge treated us?
Yeah.
Well, the judge did that because there are a lot of motherfuckers like this that come in and abuse the system. A lot of nutcases that come in and make allegations, and what they're really trying to do is force some type of settlement. So if they come in and they sue, they say, well, okay, I'm going to sue Boyce Watkins because really what they're trying to do is cause harm or sully his reputation. So in other words, they want him to cash out in order to keep quiet. The only problem is because of social media and because of YouTube and Facebook, you can't keep shit quiet anymore.
Right.
It's impossible to do it. And now that when they did what they did to Bill Cosby by going in and breaking open sealed records, you don't have that protection anymore. So the fact that she's suing him and the allegations are incorrect, that really doesn't mean anything, because what she's doing is she's hustling him to try to enforce or try to extort a settlement out of him. So she don't give a fuck whether it's true or not.
Trying to, not get the two broads mixed up. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was just answering her joint because she was saying she is alleging or she is discussing the Paris Milan suit, but I won't get them mixed up.
Okay, because the way you talking, people might be thinking that Paris is suing.
Well, she was talking about, she said talks of suing Paris. So I didn't know if he had been sued by Paris or what, but he was saying you got to be careful because she might wind up getting sued.
Right.
So I don't know if she's already sued or if these are allegations he's making, but the point that I'm making is this. Even if her allegations are false, doesn't mean anything because all she's trying to do is extort some money up out of him. Okay. So it doesn't mean shit just because it's false.
All right.
Go ahead.
At least when going on trial, you have to be indicted. That means there has to be a preponderance of evidence to say you committed some sort of crime. But I could sue, I could go in here and Courtney X, I could sue Courtney X and say Courtney X called my mother a bitch. I could file a suit and say that.
Listen, people, the reason why I left up that clip with Boyce Watkins making that disgusting, reprehensible, and just outrageously disrespectful comment to Courtney X.
It's an example.
I want you to think about the fact.
Hey, dig. A lot of times, man, I dig and I fucks with anti-Afro Svengali, right? Because she be going hard in the pain against Umar, and I dig that, right? Because Umar, no doubt, is a fraudulent ass nigga, man. But she reaching like a motherfucker right here with this boy shit, man. It's like she trying to find any and everything to try and make it stick on this cat, man. She's like the violent, disgusting comments. I'm like, what is this heifer talking about, man? He's giving an example. He's not actually talking about the female in question, man. He's just using it. I was like, whew. Boy, they smell blood, man.
Smell blood in the water.
They smell blood. And damn, Boyce, it's crazy, man, how, man, this is actually happening to you, and this is the exact same blueprint that started happening with Cosby. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers just coming at him, man, just, you know, piranhas. You know, once they go ahead and pierce the flesh and that blood come out, man, then all the other piranhas come out, man. It's like a feeding frenzy. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, man. This is actually happening to Boyce, man. You know, and to a degree, you know, I got mixed feelings about it.
You sitting up here cheesed about it. You ain't got no goddamn mixed feelings.
I got mixed feelings about it.
You got no mixed feelings. You glad to see him get a dose of his own medicine.
God damn it, but he was just talking so goddamn reckless and crazy about Cosby what happened. I'm like, and this is what I actually told him in his timeline, man, when he was talking crazy about Cosby. I'm like, my nigga, you next. This can happen to you. And that's what's happening right now, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Did you have anything to say about anti-Afro Svengali stretching shit?
Well, yeah, first of all, you clearly see he was using it as, it was an example. It was an analogy.
Right.
He wasn't you trying to degrade or malign or demean the person.
Right.
So she's all the way out the box on that. And secondly, the date on that lawsuit is September 25th, I think it is 2018. So he would be way outside. 2018, excuse me. September 25th.
September?
September.
Really?
Yes. September 25th.
Can't you file extensions, or can't she file an extension? I mean,
No, it's her suit.
yeah, it's her suit.
Yeah,
so
ain't no extension.
she can't. No. He can't extend it.
No, he can't.
Yeah,
he got to
can't.
answer.
He got to answer.
Or he get defaulted.
Okay. Oh, so this shit is still
It's still
ongoing,
pending.
though.
Yeah, it's still ongoing.
So he had to file an answer.
He had to have filed an answer. She hadn't presented one.
Proceed.
Proceed.
The Courtney X, in all likelihood, was a stranger to Boyce. And even if she wasn't a stranger, what man talks to a woman like that?
Oh my God, man. This, you know, pussy is everything. Pussy is everything. Man, you can't say nothing derogatory or so-called mean or, man, this shit is crazy, man. What man says that about a woman? Get the fuck out of here, man. This shit is out of hand, man. You know, boy, the motherfucker put pussy on a pedestal up in this bitch. God damn. Got anything to say?
No, man.
Keep going.
Or uses a woman's name in reference to what Boyce Watkins was talking about. Graphic sex. What is it? A telephone up the booty. What man talks to a woman like that?
I do. Bitch.
I'll tell you what kind of man that talks to a woman like that. The kind of man that more and more women are describing as being extremely exploitive and abusive. Now you think about the fact that Boyce...
Exploitive and abusive. Shades of Cosby. Exploitive and abusive.
Where have we heard that before,
Yeah,
right?
with no evidence of that whatsoever. You know what I mean? Just gynocentric bullshit, man. That's all it is. I'm trying to tell you. So yeah, where we heard that?
Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby. Man, this is crazy how this is happening to Boyce. Let's go.
Watkins has no problem talking like that publicly to the world, because YouTube is the world, people. Now you think about what Boyce Watkins says and does when the cameras and the audio aren't rolling, or when he thinks the cameras and audio aren't rolling. Before you start trashing these women that are coming on, you know, Facebook and YouTube and social media in general, given their experiences with Boyce Watkins, the bully. He's a bully. He's a bow-guarding bully. I call him bow-guarding because he pursues these sisters. He's even stated that I saw her and I saw what she was writing and I wanted her to come and work for me.
Okay.
All right. Well, we got to give her props on that one.
Yep.
Got to give her props on that one.
Yep.
Because, yeah, I mean, that's what we said in our last podcast. You know, it's power, trick, vision. We got, our spidey senses was tingling. You know what I mean? It was just obvious to us what was going on. And I guess it's just obvious to Miss anti-Afro Svengali as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what he's doing.
Right.
He's tricking under false pretenses.
Okay.
Is what he's doing.
All right.
In that he is not being up front about his sexual interest. Now, he may indeed believe these women are guilty, but that's not the sole motivation. Excuse me, not guilty. He may believe that these women are actually gifted. That's what I mean to say.
Right.
He may actually believe that these women are gifted and that they're talented, but that's not the sole reason he's running behind them.
Okay.
And see, that brings up another problem. That's a sore spot for a lot of men out there, especially when you start throwing in niggas' faces about how much more intelligent, ambitious, and driven that black women are than black men. Well, black women got something that black men ain't got. They got that black pussy. So if you run into guys like this that are looking over brothers that are talented to employ black women that are, and I read Miss Lloyd's articles, but to me they're average at best.
All right.
There was nothing spectacular about her writing that would have allowed him to reach across several states and employ her.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it just isn't.
Okay.
So when you have brothers out here with these grievances that can't get on, and you got broads getting on just because you want to fuck them, and then at the same time the whole world turn around and says how lazy, unintelligent, and unmotivated they are, you got to understand that leaves a bad taste in a lot of niggas' mouths. And that's where a lot of the hate comes from as far as men are concerned. It's not just the Cosby thing. A lot of niggas know what he's doing, but they won't go ahead and call him out for it. Okay. They know you seducing bitches with your money. They know you power tricking. But then when you sit here and talk about how beautiful and intelligent they are, that shit is kind of phony. It's false and discordant. It may be true in some cases, but it isn't true to a greater extent, or it isn't true substantially more than black. In other words, black women are not substantially more ambitious, intelligent, and driven than black men. That's a lie. People are basically using them as bed partners. Just come on out and say it. They trying to get them in bed and fuck them.
Okay.
But nobody, the corporation, the white man been doing that for God knows how long. Been doing that shit since the early part of the 20th century. So now niggas are getting in on the act.
All right.
So when he starts saying, well, he has, because he did a podcast yesterday. You do know that. Yeah. He did a podcast yesterday talking about why he's hated. Yeah. And some of the hate is bullshit. Some of the hate is blibbly. But some of the hate is justified because he'll jump on, when niggas see you on YouTube and we calling black women queens, they know what you're doing. You pandering for pussy. And women know you pandering for pussy.
No doubt.
When you come with that queen shit, they'll sit there and take it because it's a compliment, but they know you pandering for pussy. They know you trying to get in their drawers when you come at them with all that shit about goddess and queen. They know what you really doing, and they're disgusted by it.
I be want to smack niggas be talking that shit. Like, nigga, you don't shut up with that bullshit. God damn it. Want to proceed?
Proceed, brother.
It says that. He pursues black women who he perceives are vulnerable. And let me say this real quick. People have been mentioning the fact that Michi X, I did a video on her, was it yesterday or the day before? Yeah. And Elite.
Get back to the lawsuit, nigga.
Federal lawsuit. Boyce doesn't even have an attorney, but he's up here talking about suing Paris Milan and other people. How are you going to be suing some?
Okay, once again, all right, so we're sure that is Maria Lloyd's document.
Yeah, because she's listed as the plaintiff there. Okay. Her name is actually listed there.
Okay,
she's listed as that's her shit.
Okay.
Because but truth be told, this what she put on the screen. I don't know what this is. Where she got this from? I think this is some shit she may have made up. The register of actions will look slightly different than this.
Okay.
What I talked about earlier, the register of actions would show not only the complaint, it would show whether he responded, and it would show whether or not he has an attorney. Okay. This looks like some shit she pasted off of the internet because she got a big picture of him here in a line under his bully. Right. No court document comes like that.
Well, no doubt.
So this is some half research shit she's jumped out there on because again, if you want and anybody can do this. This is not exclusive information. Right now, you can call the federal court in the Northern District of Iowa at the Eastern Division. I think that's what it is, the Eastern Division, and find out whether or not he's filed and answer.
Okay.
Anybody can do that. You can find out whether or not he's filed an answer, and the court may even send you a free copy of the answer.
Okay.
Or they may make you pay 10 cents a page or a nickel a page or some minimum amount.
Okay.
Like that. But it shows that, again, this is some bias in what she's doing. And you can obviously see she's biased because there's nothing objective. There's no way to tell whether or not this complaint was filed on the 25th. Okay, so it's going into January. So he's about ready to be defaulted if he doesn't have an attorney and if he doesn't file an answer.
He's about ready to be defaulted.
He should have been defaulted. Exactly.
Yeah.
But it starts from the time he was served. So
Okay.
she has a picture of him being served, but we don't know what that date is.
Oh, okay.
You see
All
what
right.
I'm saying? So technically, he could have been served in November. And if he served in November, he could be just about ready to be defaulted.
Okay.
Or if he was served in October, he's ready to be defaulted. So
Okay.
it depends on, the clock starts running from the time you've been served.
Okay, I got you.
Because they have to file a proof of service to show that you know you're being sued.
Right. Proceed.
Somebody, you can't even keep an attorney for a federal case. Now, don't get me wrong, there are many of you out there, and I'm saying that with certainty, who have taken on a situation where you've been sued or you have sued someone and you've served as your own lawyer.
Stop.
You can do that.
Stop right there. Stop right there.
Uh-huh.
What she doesn't know is that you see all those LLCs up there?
Uh-huh.
The states, the jurisdiction, same thing. When I use the word jurisdiction, I mean multiple other states.
Okay.
The states in their court rules, in their federal and state court rules, which is the rules about how you're supposed to conduct a lawsuit in court, it tells you the fundamental rule is that if you are named as a business entity or a corporation, you have to have an attorney. They will not let you represent yourself.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
All right.
So either he's going to get an attorney and fight this suit, or he's not going to get an attorney and he's going to be defaulted.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So the court rule absolutely requires him to have an attorney. They will not let you represent yourself if you are listed as a corporation or limited liability company. That's in every court rule in every state across the country.
Okay. Proceed.
You are able to do that. In a criminal proceeding, it gets more dicey because, the judge is not going to let that happen unless he or she is confirmed 6 ways from Sunday that you're competent enough to do that. Now, Boyce Watkins is up here talking all big and bad about he's going to sue Paris Milan. How are you going to do that when you don't even understand the freaking system? See, Umar Johnson and Boyce Watkins are notorious for getting on the internet, trashing our criminal justice system, trashing the court system, and they don't know a damn thing about the courts. How the hell are you going to trash something you don't know anything about? Boyce Watkins is up here talking about only you're going to go to a trial if it's a criminal case. What the hell are you talking about? Did you read the damn papers? Demand for a jury trial. That's a civil case, Boyce, that you got served with, that you were reading on camera because you got served on camera. So you're indicating you don't even have basic knowledge about the legal system. And then he's talking about, it's just so irritating when people talk like this and they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. And they're acting all big and bad with people, threatening people. Threatening with what? You don't have the knowledge to take on a case and defend yourself. Because as stands now, Boyce Watkins does not have an attorney. Does not have an attorney for this case. And he's talking about suing people who dare to talk about their perception of their experience when they were under his domain, under his tyranny. People have a right to talk about their experiences. Okay, he's talking about, what did he say? Preponderance of evidence, and he's talking about a criminal trial when he's saying this is not like a criminal trial where you have to have a preponderance of evidence. No, Boyce Watkins, preponderance of evidence is under the domain which you were being sued. That belongs in a civil proceeding.
Criminal is reasonable doubt.
By saying, basically, it doesn't mean anything when you get sued. And it doesn't mean anything until there's a judgment. True, but guess what? Preponderance of evidence is much less significant than beyond a reasonable doubt. In a jury trial, criminal proceedings, So it is not going to be out of range for Maria Lloyd or anyone else who's suing you to prevail in a civil trial, because they only need a preponderance of the evidence. There is no such thing as requiring someone to prove absolute 100% uncontroverted, unadulterated fact.
Stop.
That's not.
I need to, the definition or her concept or explanation needs to be a little bit more nuanced.
Okay.
Criminal cases, the burden is reasonable doubt. Yes.
Right.
Civil cases, the burden is a preponderance of the evidence.
Right.
But even with a preponderance of the evidence, it still has to be convincing to those people that are in that box.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
Those people in that box still need to come back and render a judgment on whether or not he is liable. Because before, I think I may, in the past podcast, I may have used the word guilty. Guilty is for criminal cases. Liability is for civil.
Right.
So they have to come back with the ruling on whether or not, one, Boyce Watkins is liable, and two, how much should Boyce Watkins pay? That's the essence of this lawsuit, whether or not the essence of any lawsuit is liability and damages. Did he do what Maria Lloyd is charging or alleging that he did? And how much does he owe? How much will be necessary to make her whole? However, there are a couple of stumbling blocks that may prevent this case from actually reaching trial. This will depend on how competent her attorneys are. Mm-hmm. There is a mechanism, a pretrial mechanism for getting cases dismissed. That pretrial mechanism is called summary judgment. Mm-hmm. In some states, it's called summary disposition. In others, it's called summary judgment. I think it's summary judgment in the state of Illinois, in the 7th Circuit, because I think that's where Chicago is the 7th Circuit. So what happens is that if he could show that her case should be thrown out as a matter of law, mm-hmm. there will be no jury trial. You understand?
All right.
So one of the defenses that I think that is readily available to him that he would be able to assert is something called the business judgment rule. And the reason I'm saying that is because she's alleging that he took the profits from the Black Wealth Boot Camp, and put it into invested it in his other businesses. Mm-hmm. Now, unless he was actually defrauding shareholders, which I guess she was trying to allege, but unless he was defrauding or attempting to defraud shareholders, or he was really doing something that was really, really heinous, the business judgment rule is going to protect him. Mm-hmm. And if he files an affirmative defense is a defense which, if true, destroys the other person's claim totally. So if he asserts the business judgment rule and the court finds that judgment to be sound and reasonable, then her case will never make it to a jury trial.
All right.
So when he says it doesn't mean much when you're sued, in a sense, he's right. But this is not simply about the sued. This is about, as he so brilliantly put in Paris Milan's comment section, he said that this woman was trying to extort money from him. Mm-hmm. And that's what this lawsuit is, in my opinion. It's an attempt to extort money from him, mm-hmm. you know. And so when she says, well, she makes the distinction, she makes a halfway decent distinction when it comes to the burden of proof, but nevertheless, it still has to be clear and convincing.
Mm-hmm. Also, may I add that, in the previous video we did, we basically said that, yeah, he had a relationship with this woman. Mm-hmm. And, what was that? I think the brother's name is Sugar Free.
Yeah, it's Sugar Free.
Yeah, he basically showed us in the Paris Milan video in the comment section where Boyce
admitted
it. Well, I mean, he tried to be vague with it, but basically he said, look, I had a relationship with this woman. And, I mean, to us, what that means is, he had relations. He had, a boyfriend-girlfriend relation. But the way he worded it, you know what I mean? I mean, when he just said, I had a relationship, that could mean anything to anybody. You know what I mean? But when he said relationship, we basically know what he meant.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But yeah, we just want to point that out that, our spidey senses, our trick senses
We're tingling. Like
and
a motherfucker.
We knew he was, bumping uglies with homegirl. You know what I mean? And you said something a while back, man, how you think Boyce needs to come out gangbusters, man, on this female and give her no quarter.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Can you elaborate on why this is and what's actually going on with this dude? And if he doesn't give her, and if he doesn't lay the smack down, what could lay ahead for Dr. Watkins?
He's going to have to raise the black flag on these broads.
Okay.
Because here's what's happening. His name and his reputation is at stake. Okay, that's one thing. But if they get a judgment against him, that judgment, he has deep enough pockets to pay that judgment.
Okay.
So, of all these companies, the Boyce Watkins Enterprise, LLC, Watkins Media Group, Your Black World, and so forth and so on, these businesses, I'm assuming if he's any type of businessman, these businesses would have insurance on them. He would have had all of these businesses insured. Everybody knows that when you go to court, you look for a deep pocket. Bowles Law is looking for deep pockets. So what they're looking for is for his businesses to cash out their client.
Right.
Now, if he doesn't go into his pocket and cash him out and cash that girl out, that's if he loses, which I don't think he's going to lose. But if he gets a judgment against him, he's through. Because that means the people who registered, now the appearance will be that the people who registered for his black business school and for all of his businesses, that money that they registered for is now going to pay these judgments.
Right.
How many people do you think are going to stay in his business school if they understand, or if it gets out, or if it happens that he has to pay a $250,000 judgment to Maria Lord? How many people you think are going to hang around that black business school? Especially niggas.
Shit, I wouldn't know. Shit, I don't know.
They're gone.
Why would they leave?
Look, it's about reputation.
Okay.
You're doing nigga business.
Okay.
So what happens is, it's just like anything else. It's just like, I remember back when the thing came out that Jack in the Box was serving E. coli burgers. They had a loss in business. It's a loss to your reputation. A loss to your reputation means a dip in your profits.
Okay.
You understand? So he could take a heavy financial hit that he may not be able to recover from, because nobody's going to stick with a guy who is the victim of multiple lawsuits. Okay. How is that going to affect the running of those various entities? If you got to sit up and pay judgment after judgment after judgment after judgment, and you don't have a name like Geico. Okay. You don't have a name like Progressive. You don't have a name like Delta. You don't have one of these. You're not a major transnational global corporation that can withstand that and put out. You don't have a multi-million-dollar public relations firm behind you that can spin this shit. It's just you and your name.
All right.
You understand?
All right.
So when your clients or your customers begin to lose confidence in you as a businessman, you're done.
Gotcha.
And if the insurance companies have to pay those judgments, they're going to drop his ass. If those insurance companies have to pay $1 million judgments because he's not honest enough, or he's not forthcoming enough to let these women know he want to fuck and just cash him out, and they have to go in their pockets and cash him out, they're not going to keep him on as a client.
Shit, man, he need to get mode 1 and give him 75.
75.
Give him 75,
The insurance industry has a name for that. He's a moral hazard. Okay. That's actually an insurance term. Right. You can't be honest with these bitches that you want to fuck, and now it's costing us money. You're a high risk. You're a moral hazard.
Okay.
If you get an insurance policy with us under the style of tricking that you're doing, what did my man Cornelius Evans said? It's aggravated tricking in the first degree. You understand? So that's exactly what the motherfucker guilty of. Aggravated tricking in the first degree and tricking under false pretenses. Man. No insurance company is going to want to insure him.
Damn.
His money ain't that long.
Okay.
They're going to drop him like a fucking used condom. And he knows that. But he's sitting here and he's trying to play tiddlywinks with these women and not going hard in the paint because he don't want it to seem like what this broad is calling him a bully. When he's really just sitting back being a simp and letting them get off whatever they want to get off. He ain't going after them. They basically pimp slapping.
Yeah, homegirl is killing me. He's a bully.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I'm like, man, she blinded by her own vagina, nigga. That's all that is.
This nigga sitting here with his arms folded, getting
smacked
around. And she calling him a bully just because he responds to some random girl on YouTube. He's sitting here for the most part in the courts getting smacked around. What should have been done is when she filed that suit, and I know what he was doing. I know what he's doing. He's trying to settle with her behind the scenes.
Okay.
That's what he's trying to do, but he don't understand the beast that he's dealing with. That broad smell blood. If he offer her 20, she's going to ask for 80. If he offers her 80, she's going to ask for 240. There is no capitulation when litigation starts. It's always go high, and settle somewhere. You go high, she goes high, you go low, and you settle somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
That's how litigations operate. That's how it goes. That's the flow of a lawsuit. You come back as high as you can, they're gonna come back as low as they can, and you meet in the middle and settle. But the problem is that in this instance, he really can't afford a settlement. I know he thinks he can, but he can't.
Okay. All right.
Because again, if this gets back to the entities that are investing in his businesses and that are underwriting the liability in his businesses, he'll have a Patreon and a GoFundMe. He'll have about 10 or 20 of them motherfuckers.
Wow. You know what I find interesting? Oh, we gotta do it, my nigga. We gotta do it. Sean James. Hey, Sean, I know you don't listen to our videos and shit, but man, we was trying to help you out. And guess what, my nigga? Look, Boyce Watkins, Watkins is the future.
You.
Yeah, you. That's what Boyce is. He's the future Sean James, man. Due to the fact that Boyce Watkins don't know shit about women, has zero game, you know what I mean? We can see that Boyce is an intelligent man. College, book smart, and all that. But check him out, man. Look, Sean, this is gonna be you, my nigga.
This is you. This is what happens when you go 25 years with no pussy. This is what happens when and she didn't come. And I know how this started. It started. She was writing these articles. He saw who she was, and she was moderately attractive. So what she did, they started corresponding on emails about the so-called articles, and then it started. It went from there. It evolved into a lighthearted conversation. Then before you know it, one of them was going to go see the other one. They were hanging out, and then before you know it, he was up in her panties. You see what I'm saying? And because he didn't know, I hate to say this, but I don't think Dr. Boyce Watkins is used to pulling quality pussy, pussy that he's attracted to.
Right.
So what happened was he got to fuck a woman who he was attracted to. And here's another life lesson. Women can smell when men are celibate. Women can smell sexual frustration on you. Women can smell the lack of confidence that comes from the lack of access to sexual gratification. They can smell that shit on you. You know, like a wolf, like an animal, like a predator. They can smell that shit. They know. And what happened was, again, Sean, this is you. This is you. You think a woman is going to come to you on some hood shit? No. She going to come to you talking comic books. She going to come to you talking all the shit that you want to hear. And then before you know it, she going to get your little draws down. And once she get your draws down, this is going to be you with a video from Afro Svengali with a title under it called Bully.
Because you play with your PP. You got your PP all erect. And you were like, my mom and my dad said I shouldn't have an erect PP
in the house. Let's not be juvenile.
Let's not do it.
Okay, let's proceed.
All right.
How things work in civil trials. That's not how things work even in a criminal trial. So get to know what system you're talking about when you start talking about suing somebody and you don't even have an attorney, for God's sake. And for your information, an indictment belongs in a criminal proceeding, and that standard is probable cause. Get with the legal system and learn the terms before you get on here saying you're going to be suing somebody. Most people listening to this video probably have much more of a grasp on our legal system, but you got Boyce here perping as an attorney in his phony, what is it, your black business school, offering degrees under which he has no authority to offer degrees. It is a 100% cottage.
Does he actually do that?
Does he actually do what?
Offer degrees from his school?
From his school, yeah, he can offer degrees from his school if he's an authority. What she's talking about is that the degrees are not going to be recognized by the state, is what she said.
Okay.
And she's right. It's not going to be recognized by the state, but it's not a state institution.
Okay.
It's a private institution.
All right.
It would be no different than if you set up an institution where you train niggas how to be amateur pornographers, right?
Okay.
Well, they have to meet a certain standard in order to show that they are qualified now as web pornographers according to your curriculum.
Okay.
You understand?
All right.
According to your standards. So you can have a private school and then establish your own standards and then certify people as having obtained these a certain number of hours in training in that particular endeavor. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So he can do that. He's an administrator of his school. Now that she's right, that shit is not going to be recognized by the state. Mm-hmm. But if it makes you money and if you can apply the principles that are being taught there, fuck that state recognition.
No, I'm just saying she was saying that he can't do it at all.
No, yes he can. He can set up his own.
Because she's trying to once again set up the fraud narrative. Hold on, let me see. Back up a little bit.
System and learn the terms before you get on here saying you're going to be suing somebody. Most people listening to this video probably have much more of a grasp on our legal system, but you got Boyce here perping as an attorney in his phony, what is it, your black business school, offering degrees under which he has no authority to offer degrees. It is a 100% cottage industry fraudulent situation and targeting.
So you disagree that would be a fraudulent situation?
That's not fraud,
okay,
because again, all of those are his private businesses, and if he has his own independent school, no, it's not state recognized. Mm-hmm. That part is true.
Right.
If you want to say it's fraudulent because it's not state recognized, but he told you it's not state recognized.
Okay.
You are being certified in accordance to completing a specific number of hours at the curriculum for his school, so he can certify you at his school. It's just not going to have state credentials or state authority behind it.
All right.
Black women specific. No black man's going to go for this. I'm sorry, people. You may have one or two. I'm going to just say it. Ain't no black man in mass going to go for this shit. The Boyce Watkins.
Hold on, Doc. You know, it's funny. You know, it's funny that you say that. It's funny that she would say that, because now that she said that, you know what I just thought about?
What you just thought about?
DeVry, University of Phoenix.
What about it?
All these online universities and colleges. Mm-hmm. A lot of these employers that you're going to apply for a job to, they don't vest any credibility in a degree from DeVry.
Right.
You understand?
True.
Because DeVry is not a state institution. It's not a state. It's not a state validated or a state backed institution. The University of Phoenix and all these online institutions, they don't accept degrees from those institutions.
Okay.
You understand?
All right.
But yet those institutions are allowed to operate. But yet you don't call them fraudulent. Mm-hmm. And a degree from them, they're doing the same thing. When they issue a certification, it's a certification based on the curriculum at DeVry. It's a certification based upon the curriculum at the University of Phoenix. But for some reason, that's not seen as fraudulent. And niggas sign up for that shit in record numbers.
You may have something there, sir. Never thought about it that way. You're a genius, Tony.
Nah, man, I just separate the game
genius,
from the truth,
sir.
baby. That's all.
Man, shall we proceed?
Proceed.
Is dishing out. I don't care what anybody says. Boyce Watkins specifically targets black women. He recruits black women. He does.
I agree with that.
I agree with that. She's right. That's
She's right.
She's right
on that one.
Mm-hmm. That's what he's doing.
Ooh,
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
Aggravated tricking in the first degree.
Yeah, buddy.
It's not recruit black men. I'm not saying that men don't attend.
That's fraudulent. That he get the gas face on that.
Right.
He get the gas face on that because those women aren't the only ones out here that are skillful. They're not the only ones out here that are gifted, talented, driven, and ambitious. So why are you repeating what white folks do? Because that's what white men do. A nigga and one of these hood rats, or black woman. I don't even use the word hood rat. A black woman and a black man can walk into a white corporation, and both of them have equal qualifications, or that black man's qualifications may be slightly superior. What they're gonna do, they're gonna hire that slit every time.
Well, it's kind of hard for me to, be against that.
Of course,
to that.
I'm not saying. I'm just pointing it out. Because I'm pointing out his fuckery. I'm agreeing with her. You see what I'm saying? So what you're doing, you're not letting niggas get on. You letting bitches get on, and you letting bitches get on because, again, you tricking under false pretenses. Let's just call it what it is. Now that she has legitimate criticism about.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is legitimate. All the rest of this shit she talking is bullshit.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to hate on boys on that one. I'd rather be surrounded by some bitches than a bunch of hard legs too.
What?
You know what I'm saying?
Believe it or not, that's a standard business model. It's just like when you go for a job as that you won't see a male receptionist or secretary.
Right.
You won't see that. You will always see a female because there have actually been studies where they said men have a more pleasant reaction dealing with a female than they would a male. You see what I'm saying? So that's standard business practices, but I'm clapping back on the narrative that's used as evidence that black men are less intelligent, less ambitious, and less driven. So yeah, he's doing some tricking. I'm agreeing with her there.
All you gotta do is look at the nigga, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, we smell our own. Let's go. Play, nigga. Oh, my battery was dead, nigga. Hold on. Shit.
These, I don't know what the hell you call them, but he doesn't target black men. He doesn't exploit black men. How many men? People have told me that men have worked for Boyce and they left, but where are they? Look at all these women that are coming out. They're coming in droves. And by the way, it is not outside the realm of possibility to say that Boyce Watkins slept with employees, or excuse me, I shouldn't say employees, subcontractors or contractors. Nobody stated specifically that Boyce Watkins and Michi had a sexual relationship. I have no idea what they had. Nobody is saying that the other woman that was brought up.
Hell yeah, he telling all that shit.
Duh.
Yeah, you goddamn right.
Duh. I mean,
tricking under false pretenses.
Exactly. It's just like when the Griff Zaza Ali thing happened.
Yeah.
He employed Zaza, not Griff. Griff had much more experience when it comes to. Griff is a hell of a poet. He's a hell of a researcher. And Griff is also a prolific writer. But he didn't employ the man with the reputation. He employed the bitch with the criminal record. You see what I'm saying? So it's obvious. Now he'll bring a man on there as a panelist. He'll bring Ben X,
right,
or somebody on there as a panelist, or someone on there as a guest in to speak to a particular issue. But hiring them niggas, nah, not gonna do it.
Shit, proceed.
And her felony conviction that Boyce Watkins specifically had sex with her. I didn't hear anybody say that. People have stated he has a tendency to sexually exploit the women who he pursues to come and, quote, work for him. Stop.
I heard Payroll say something. That the payroll that Fat Mac put in his Patreon section. Everybody go to Mac City Limits Patreon. Support Mac City Limits Patreon. Cheap plug, I know.
Cheap plug.
Payroll said his whole told him that, people think that these women are just vulnerable. But they're just as money hungry as the pimps. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Now you sit here talking about he's sexually exploiting these women. These women are willing to be exploited. They're using their exploitation as a come up. Don't put it all on him. Yeah, he's tricking under false pretenses. That I'll give you. But these women are not victims.
Oh, hell no.
These women are not victims.
No.
They're volunteers. They understand the game. They know what he's doing, but they're trying to flip that shit to their advantage. So he's not the big bad, I can change your life for $20,000 if you just do the right thing and give me some head. That ain't what's happening. They willingly playing the role. They're willingly allowing themselves to be exploited because they know that he's vulnerable in the courts of law. They know his reputation is vulnerable, and they know that he's vulnerable. This is why I say, see, they laughed at Charlie Sheen, and they demeaned Charlie Sheen ain't in court.
Right.
Charlie Sheen, he made, again, Mac City, going back to the Mac City journals. Go back to all you players that have joined up. Go into the Mac City Journal and find an article called "Treat a Queen Like a Whore and a Whore Like a Queen." There is a specific line in that article that says you may treat her like a queen, but you never let her forget that she's a whore.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? That's what Charlie Sheen does. Charlie Sheen, when he got Ginger Lynn, he was running through the porno stars. He was running through the private escorts, but he never let them forget. He made them feel like they were queens for the moment. But when he got through with them hoes, he threw them out in the street. You understand?
Man.
He threw their asses out in the street. Boyce Watkins, on the other hand, is talking queen, 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 queen. And he's getting sued. You understand?
Yeah, man.
So this is not a case where, they're just being exploited. No, they're willingly walking into this game with their eyes wide open with the intentions of flipping it, as we are seeing with what Miss Lloyd is doing. She's trying to flip it.
Man, it's funny, man, all this so-called exploitation shit, man. If I had $1 for every time one of my broads had an attitude or cussed me out because I didn't take their ass to a twerk party or a sex party, or take them somewhere where they can make some money and shit, man. Well, just like Payroll said, nigga, Payroll the pimp. He was like, shit, these females, they more bloodthirsty, more money hungry than the pimps a lot of time, man. And bruh, let me tell you, man, I got stories of females going just ham on my ass, man, because I chose another broad to take somewhere to make some money instead of her. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody being exploited here. All these bitches know what the fuck going on, man. They all know what time it is, man. And this anti-Afro Svengali, I don't know how old this broad is, man, but she on some Mr. Rogers shit, man. She act like she has no concept of what's really happening in the real world, man. You know what I mean? They're being exploited. Ain't none of these bitches being exploited, man. They know exactly what the fuck they doing, man. Proceed.
People are stating. If you think you can sue somebody for saying that, go for it. And I would be even more excited to see that without an attorney. So all this talking, all this targeting black women with these sexual threats, this bullying, this bogarting, telling people, come work for me, this is just a setup to abuse people. And again, the people who are getting paid now probably don't care because they're getting paid. You just wait. And I'm not trying to impose gloom and doom on people, but Boyce Watkins has a pattern of doing this over and over and over again. So my message is, learn the freaking legal system before you get on here talking about.
What I'm trying to figure out is, like, what he's supposed to do, man. Like, in the course of doing business, sometimes your business relationships just don't work the fuck out. And you gotta let people go. You know what I mean? I went through that shit for 15 years. You know what I mean? Sorry, baby girl. You have outlived your usefulness. I'm running a business. So it's like, I gotta keep my stock of females fresh and new. I can't keep doing the same videos. I can't keep taking the same pictures of you. It's going on 3-4 years. I gotta move on. You know what I mean? under what she talking about, I would be like sued for fraud under that. You know what I mean? I would be a bully.
You're preying on vulnerable
I would
black
be
women.
praying like, no, bitch, I'm doing business. I'm trying to make some money here, okay? And your feelings ain't got nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Fuck your feelings.
I think what it is again, his tricking is being exposed.
Right.
And that's what a lot of people feel they're in their feelings about this image that he's putting forth as a helper, when on one hand, see, if he would do the shit and it didn't get out, maybe it would be different. But when you're presenting his face as compassionate, and then you have this to get out, you have this situation with this woman, and it really shows, it really has the appearance that what you're doing is you're tricking, which I don't begrudge Boyce Watkins for tricking. I don't begrudge Boyce Watkins for doing anything he needs to do to get that load off. What I'm saying is this, is that when you do that, you have to be careful about who you do that with. My thing is that he broke the 48 laws of power tricking. He's in violation. There's an end to everything. Like you said, I can't work with you no more. The problem was he didn't know when the end came.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? He didn't know when to get rid of them. And he gave him a little bit too much. This is what happens when you go so far over that 75 mark that you get caught up. You see, there are times when you have to know if you're going to trick, and I'm going to give up a little bit of game here. If you're going to trick, you have to know how to trick with each woman. If you got a woman on you that's mercenary, if you have a woman on you that's just all about, everything out her mouth is about money, 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 money. Well, we all want money, and I get that. But if a bitch is mercenary and she doesn't show any type of tenderness, or she doesn't show anything that relates to any type of intimacy when y'all are together, even though you're paying her, if there's no conversation about anything but money, get rid of that bitch. Right. Or if you're going to trick with her, that's a bitch you trick with quarterly. That's I'm gonna introduce that term, quarterly tricking. There are some women that you trick with quarterly, every 3 or 4 months. You don't have them around all the time. You don't trick with that broad. You trick with the broad that's willing to sacrifice something for you.
Right.
You trick with the broad that's willing to bring something to the table. You trick with the broad that's gonna get in there and wash them dishes. That's gonna get in there and mop that floor. You trick with the broad that's gonna hold the straw to your mouth when you drink, is somebody that's real agreeable and accommodating. You trick with the broad that's gonna tell you when you being set up by another bitch.
Right.
You see, that's the bitch you trick with. You don't trick with a bitch that's openly mercenary. You can build an empire with soldiers, but you can't build shit with a mercenary. Mercenaries are for limited use in military campaigns.
Right.
So if you're going to trick with a mercenary, you can't have a relationship with a fucking mercenary.
No loyalty.
No loyalty. You understand?
To the highest bidder.
And you're and him of all people, he's the most vulnerable. He's the most vulnerable.
He's the future Sean James.
He's the future Sean James.
That nigga is.
So, you know, and that comes from having a certain type of experience. That comes from getting out here, dealing with women, getting the bumps and bruises, the scrapes, you know, the little normal things that you go through in dealing with women in relationships. You start to be able to distinguish who you can deal with, who you can't deal with, and who you can deal with on certain terms and who you can't deal with on certain terms. He didn't understand that because I would wager the bet he don't have very much experience with women.
Shit, man.
Isn't that obvious to you?
No real experience.
No real
man.
experience.
You know what I'm saying?
So
he got experience with women after he got money.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? That's his problem, because I think he's under the false pretenses like these bitches actually like him. Like, these bitches don't like you, man. They like what you represent.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They like what you can offer them. You know what I mean? So I think he's kind of like deluded, just like Sean James. Niggas under the delusion, but also what he's actually suffering from, the same thing that Bill Cosby suffered from, as far as the perception of the public. What's that rule? Never appear too clean.
Never appear too perfect.
Yeah, never appear too perfect. And so, you know, that basically makes people hate you more.
Yes, it does.
When so-called dirty laundry gets aired.
And they clamoring for your downfall.
Yeah, man.
Everybody here sitting here cheering while you being crucified. You see.
Because you had this air, this aura of just being too perfect and too clean and shit.
Yes.
Hence the reason why people love me and Tony, because we are dirty.
Grimy as
We
fuck.
are grimy as they come. You know, we have stains all over our uniform, son. You can see it. I ain't watched this shit in years, nigga. Not in years.
But yeah, that's the whole issue. Knowing which woman to deal with and how to deal with that woman. So he's going through a lot of misery because, again, he disobeyed the 48 laws of power tricking. He disobeyed them, and now he's suffering the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
See, if he was going to do that, if he was attracted, and I know what it was, she was young,
Mm-hmm.
and she had booty, and her face is halfway decent, and she was catering to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like when you had what was the girl that went to prison for all that dirty shit? You was like, she was extra accommodating. I didn't trust her. Allie.
Allie?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
She was really nice to the girl. Like, wait a minute, my nigga senses is tingling with her. She can't be. Well, you knew that she couldn't be trusted.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you took measures to let her know that you didn't trust her. You didn't come out and say it. You just did it in little informal cues. You understand? He didn't know to do that.
Right.
When this girl, again, this was a young girl, blossoming, titties, booty, light skin, halfway nice, agreeable. He didn't see the alley that was right up under him. And he didn't see the shit until September 25th, 2018. He didn't see what she was capable of until he was served with that lawsuit.
Yeah, man, you gotta have, you know, a little something up your sleeve when it comes to these bras, man. You gotta have, we're going back to the Bronx Tale again about the whole concept.
The door test.
No, not the door test. About, you know, having a healthy. Damn, nigga, can I talk? Can I get it out?
Go ahead.
God damn, nigga, always trying to talk over me. Shit, I don't want to talk now. Okay, yeah, like I said, man, no, the concept of fear. Having a healthy, is it better to be feared or respected or loved? You know what I mean? These bras, they gotta have, you know, a healthy appetite, not a healthy appetite, but a healthy, what's that, man? Shit, man. What's that word I'm looking for?
I don't know. I'm gonna let you talk. Talk.
I need your help now.
You have to have a healthy fear of that person. You
Yeah,
have to have
healthy,
a healthy degree of fear.
Yeah,
of
and
that
that's what
person.
they don't have about this nigga, man. They don't have, you know, they don't have any sort of fear of this nigga at all, man.
I mean, does he look frightening?
No.
And is there someone else we know that doesn't look frightening?
Sean James. Yeah. Yeah,
Right,
man.
right.
So yeah, so that's one of the main problems we got right here, man. You know, he just a little too soft on these bras, man. You know, they don't have any sort of fear or apprehension of coming at this nigga, man. Shall I proceed?
Proceed.
You're going to be suing people, and you don't even have grounds to sue people. People can say their opinion about how they dealt with you. You cannot tell people that they cannot accuse you of a criminal offense or being a fraud. You can't stop people from saying that. The only thing you got to worry about is what they're saying false. And all indicators are there is a lot of truth to what people are stating about Boyce Watkins, because he plays it out right here in front of everybody to see. You're not going to tell me there's not an issue with sexual exploitation when he's using sex terms on total and complete strangers. It is not a grand leap for me, people. Maybe it's a grand leap for some of you. It's not for me. If you're doing it out here in front of everybody else, guaranteed it is 50 times worse behind the scenes, like I just said a few minutes ago. Wanted to make sure I kept you all updated. Let's stay tuned and let's see Boyce Watkins try to wiggle his way out of this. Let me tell you this. Not having an attorney for one hearing, okay, you don't have an attorney, but this judge is not going to let Boyce Watkins use that as a crutch. Either you're going to get an attorney or you're going to have to try the case on your own. That's how it works, people. They're not going to keep you the case moving and continuing the case over and over in a civil proceeding because you don't have a lawyer. You know, there are some of you out here who might not.
Stop. A judge can continue a case for a variety of reasons. If there was a court date and he showed up without an attorney, judges typically give litigants an opportunity to get an attorney.
Okay.
But the question here, again, is the complaint was filed on the 25th of September. I don't know when he was served. I'm not sure when he was served, but there should be a proof of service which gives that date. But if he's already appeared in court, that probably means the time is passed for him to avoid a default. So something tells me that you also have to have a degree of common sense. If this is a man that constantly travels, the judge is going to take that into consideration. Mm-hmm. But again, she didn't produce or she didn't show whether or not Boyce Watkins had actually filed an answer. Right. So we don't know whether or not he has an attorney. And in truth, she doesn't know whether or not he has an attorney because this is not the court docket that she has on the screen. The court docket would show, the register of actions would show whether or not he has an attorney and who that attorney is. So it's not really fair to say, is he going to pursue this action? Because if he doesn't have an attorney, he's not going to pursue. If he doesn't have an attorney, he's not going to be allowed to pursue the action. You see what I'm saying? Right. They're going to enter an instant judgment against him, and it's a wrap.
All right, proceed.
Not realize this. For this reason, I have to make sure it's made known to everybody. Boyce Watkins is not going to be able to drag this federal judge through the mud like he has so many black women that he recruits and exploits.
Wait a minute, what black woman has he drugged through the mud?
Like I said, man, she's blinded by her vagina, man. You know what I mean? She's like concocting all sorts of shit that ain't even happening. You know what I mean? She's just making shit up. She's blinded by her vagina, man. You know what I'm saying? Because she sees various women out there allegedly being exploited. You know what I mean? So she's just jumping on, piling on with the rest of these motherfuckers, man.
Okay.
Have an attorney this time, fine. Because he already got out of filing. He already got out of filing the response. Based on what reason?
You can't get out of filing a response.
You
can't get out of filing a response.
Right.
You can't get out of filing. You have to file an answer. Mm-hmm. If you don't file an answer, the plaintiff automatically wins by default. Right. So you don't get out of. He may have extended the time for him to file, right, but you don't get out of filing an answer.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now, how do you make that extension? Because I remember you did that with me. No, I think we actually talked about having an extension. I don't think I needed an extension. But how do you extend the time period to actually file an answer?
You would simply go into court and ask the judge for more time. There are many reasons that you, like, for instance, if you can say, well, you were not around, if you weren't sued.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm talking too fast. If you weren't served, if you weren't properly served.
Okay.
Then you would get an extension of time to file. Or if the service was improper. Mm-hmm. So in other words, if somebody serves a lawsuit on you at an address that you don't live at,
right,
but then you hear about it afterwards, you get a judgment, or you go to your bank account and someone is taking money out of your bank account pursuant to a judgment, you come back, you say, well, wait a minute, I never got anything in the mail. Well, they served you at the wrong address. That's called improper service.
All right.
You see what I'm saying? So in that case, what the judge would do, he would set aside the judgment or set aside the default and allow you to file an answer and give you that extra time you need. Okay. So if the service is improper, you could get an extension of time, or if you need time to hire an attorney, he'll give you one.
All right.
He'll give you an extension or continuance.
Proceed.
Or the attorney. I'm going to take a wild stab in the dark because that's a reasonable reason that a judge would extend the response time.
See, she just said.
If you just hire an attorney, okay, fine. Give you the benefit of the doubt. Now you come to the next hearing because he still hasn't filed a response yet. He hasn't filed a response to this lawsuit that he claims is frivolous. People, are you with me on this? Now we get to the next hearing. What happened, I think, the 18th or something on December. Now he doesn't have an attorney. You think this judge is going to let this go on?
So what? He's, according to her, he's been to court
at least three times.
At least three times. And there hasn't been a response.
There hasn't been a response. So what that means, if there hasn't been a response and if he hasn't filed one, that girl should be moving for a default. Maria Lloyd should be moving to default him.
This is interesting.
And I don't think he's going to get defaulted. He's not going to allow that because, again, if that girl is asking for $1 million,
right?
You see what I'm saying? So clearly she's not going to get $1 million. So if he doesn't file an answer, then the next hearing or motion or court date will be to determine what her damages are.
Okay.
And that's another way he can actually defeat this lawsuit, because if he comes to the conclusion, or if it's discovered that her lawsuit is under the jurisdictional amount, see, that's why they filed in state court too.
Okay.
Because if it's not a federal issue, in other words, it's not a constitutional claim, or the claim doesn't arise out of a violation of federal statute, you got to make that jurisdictional amount of $75,000.
Right.
So if her damages are not $75,000, they can actually kick that claim out of court.
Okay.
If her damages are not that amount, but arguably you're not to that point yet, so we're still dealing with the issue of liability. So if Boyce has a lawyer, if Dr. Watkins has a lawyer, either he has a peon lawyer or he has a lawyer that's connected. And here's the other part. When I tell people law is politics, if he has an influential lawyer in that particular division or jurisdiction, they can do all kind of shit.
Right.
They will bend the rules for these lawyers, like you wouldn't believe. They will stretch the rules for these lawyers in a manner that you wouldn't believe, because these lawyers a lot of times donate huge make huge campaign donations.
Golfing buddies.
Yeah, golfing buddies. There's a personal relationship, there's a financial relationship, there's a political relationship. So in a lot of instances, the more powerful and prominent their attorneys are, the more leeway they're going to give them, the more wiggle room they're going to give them in terms of litigation. So the fact, this really doesn't mean much. It doesn't mean much until there's a judgment entered against him. Okay. When there's a judgment entered against him, then you can start talking about he doesn't have an attorney. But again, she hasn't shown the court docket, so we don't even know whether or not he's filed an answer. Okay. And that information, again, is readily obtainable. You can get that.
Okay.
So the game ain't over until it's over. So right now, like you said, she in her feelings, and this is her vagina talking. So
this is a civil case, people. Here's the deal. You better get your behind attorney. You better get it quickly, because if you don't, you'll be trying this case independently.
He's not going to try the case.
Boyce Watkins will soon find that out. And if he decides he doesn't want to respond to the dates that are imposed, to respond or to do whatever the judge states, there'll be a default judgment, which means Maria Lloyd will prevail in every area that she has asserted in the lawsuit. So true. Yeah, let's see how Boyce works this one. Let's see how Boyce works this one. You're not going to drag a federal judge like you drag all these black women. You better get your shit together and quit threatening people. I am so sick of these fools on the internet attacking black women because they dare to speak out. But listen to Boyce right after he says Paris Milan better watch what she says. Then what does he say about her? What about watching what you say? This double standard. I am so glad. This is a perfect example. I am so glad Boyce Watkins is being sued, because this double standard
there
and
you have
BS intimidation,
there you have it.
Bogarting crap.
There you have it.
Yeah, the bias is real. The bias is real. She's talking about double standards. I'm like, that could apply to you too, baby.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, shit, as far as I'm concerned, all these other broads drew first blood on him, and he's just merely just responding. You know what I mean? She acted like he going around picking on the broads. You know what I'm saying? He ain't doing that.
He walking around with his arms folded and letting them slap him around, and I know what he's doing. What him and his attorney is doing, probably him more so than his attorney, him and this girl are talking behind the scenes. And he's trying to see if he can settle this quietly without the fanfare.
Right.
And he's telling us shit like, well, we both black. We don't need to get out here and make black people look bad. And that's the type of shit he's telling them. We don't need to make black people look bad. It shows that black people can't stick together and black people. But that girl ain't hearing that shit. She smells blood in the water. And where there's blood in the water, there's food.
Shit, man.
You see, so and that's what he's doing. That's probably why he's not. That would be my guess.
Right.
I don't know for sure, but behind the scenes, attorneys and parties are always trying to come to some resolution. The problem is he doesn't understand, arguably, who he's dealing with. She is not going to go away for pennies. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to give her pennies for her to go away. He's going to have to dig deep in his pocket to make her go away.
I got 75.
I got 75.
All right, check it out. We're going to close this shit out, man.
Go ahead and let her finish up. We got, a couple minutes left. Let her talk her way out of here.
That Boyce Watkins engages in, as does Umar Johnson. They are two peas in a pod, I keep telling you. This is not tolerable. And what better way to demonstrate that to have Boyce's behind handled to him in a federal court and a municipal court, because he has another, lawsuit pending. What goes around comes around. You cannot dog people out like this. And let me make it straight.
Oh well, fuck it. That's it. Shit, man. Yeah, man, that's it, man. It's pretty much self-explanatory. I ain't got much else to say, man, except for homegirl is super biased. You know what I mean? I'm not. For her to talk about how he's like a predator and he's a bully, and I'm like, damn, you putting extras on this shit. This is a simp trick type nigga, that shit. Females find him, interested now that he got a little bit of money. He's the future Sean James, and he don't know what the fuck he doing when it comes to messing with broads, man. That's all that shit is, man. So, you want to hit him with some parting words, man, before we roll out of here?
Yeah, he's food at this point. He's food.
Right.
And so from here on out, again, it's only going to get worse because now you would think that something like this would, kind of make him cautious. But now it's actually going to be the reverse. They're really going to come at him because every one of them are going to say how they're not like Maria Lloyd.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, but I think he has a woman now. He has a woman now. So I think that may protect him to a certain extent. So he may be safe for the moment, and that's probably where he belongs, is in a relationship. He don't belong out here tricking. He just, and that's the final lesson. All tricks are not created equal, and everybody is not cut out to be out here tricking. And Boyce Watkins, if there's anything he's guilty of, again, is tricking under false pretenses. As my man Cornelius says, aggravated tricking in the first degree. That's what he's guilty of. So he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. It's just not his bag. He need to find him a wife. This is a nigga that needs to be married. You see what I'm saying?
All right.
That's what it is. And to close it out, this woman didn't really say anything of any substance. Her main beef with Boyce Watkins is that she thinks that he's preying on women. And to a certain degree, she's right. But these women are not victims. That's where she got the game twisted. Right. These women are not victims. They know exactly what they're doing. They know his vulnerabilities. They know his weaknesses. They can smell his sexual insecurities, and they're taking advantage of that. So there are no victims here. They're just volunteers. There will be no winners or losers, only survivors. So with that being said, powerandstrategy.com, my website, the Negro Manosphere on Tuesdays, wayofstrategy44@gmail.com, on PayPal if you want to support, Patreon, Power of Strategies, and of course the links for Max City support if you are so inclined to do so. But this is what happens when, that's what we should call it, when tricking goes wrong.
Shit. I don't know, man. All I know is that's the future Sean James, man. I wish Sean could look at this, man. This is his future. You know what I'm saying? All them comic books you collected, nigga, they gonna go bye-bye. The bitch gonna own them comics, man. You know what I'm saying? But let me go ahead and tell the cats about my Patreon right now. Look, fellas, You in the Patreon, know and understand I'm not gonna be doing a lot of new stuff in the Patreon just yet, because I got tons of older stuff that I need to throw up in there, because it's like 8-9 dudes, man. It's like, you know, they want the archives. They want the archival podcast, you know, dating all the way back to like 2005. So I'm steadily uploading all of that stuff, man. Of course, it's the stuff I'm gonna be posting pictures in there of my life and times in my adventures. They're gonna be R-rated. I'm not gonna post any quote-unquote porn in there, because I know most of y'all don't want to see that shit. But yeah, some of the stuff will be R-rated. You know what I mean? Because, bruh, I just gotta show you who I am and where I come from, man. Just gotta be authentic with this shit, man. So, of course, my Patreon and my PayPal will be in the comments section and in the description box. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, man, there's not much else to say. And I just want to give a shout out to all the crew and all the players that come and rock with us, man. So, this is Big Mike, the Fat Maxter, Almighty Triple XL, coming at y'all live and direct from MaxCity.com and PowerStrategy.com. I'd like to thank, once again, my co-host, Tony Maceo, Nigga Fuchsius, Magneto, Zato Ichi. And we out, and we out, and we out.